Good evening. In the middle of a difficulty lies opportunity. Welcome to BMC News Live in English, brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. I am Vinod Narayanan, joining you with the daily news updates. Today's headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited His Royal Highness Prince Salman to visit India. 50% remote working rule urged to control COVID surge. Strategy to protect women from violence highlighted. Bahrain bans shrimping for 6 months. UAE introduces tax to corporate profits from next June. News in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited His Royal Highness Prince Salman to visit India. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi conveyed his greetings to His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and reiterated his invitation to His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister, for a visit to India at an early date. This came as His Royal Highness Prince Salman held a telephonic conversation with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Bahrain celebrated the Arab Women's Day on 1st February. Bahrain celebrated yesterday the Arab Women's Day amid national pride in the achievements that have enhanced Bahrain's respect of women's rights and boosted their active role in the progress and prosperity of the nation under the leadership of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and the support of His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, the Crown Prince and Prime Minister. Shura Chairman congratulated Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika on Arab Women's Day. Shura Council Chairman Ali bin Saleh Al Saleh congratulated Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika bint Ibrahim Al Khalifa, wife of His Majesty the King and President of the Supreme Council for Women, on Arab Women's Day that falls on February 1st. The chairman praised the unlimited support that Bahraini women enjoy from His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and his reform projects. He expressed pride in the achievements of Bahraini women as a result of the fruitful efforts of Her Royal Highness Princess Sabika that contributed in the advancement of women and strengthening their position and highlighting their pioneering role at various levels. Strategy to protect women from violence highlighted. Family and social stability featured among Bahrain's national priorities, said Supreme Council for Women Secretary General Hala Al Ansari. She hailed Bahrain's strides supported by legislations and policies that promote gender balance and women's active participation in national development. Al Ansari was addressing a workshop hosted by the Cairo-based Arab Parliament under the theme Draft Law for Combating Violence Against Women. New judges take legal oaths before Supreme Judicial Council. 8 new judges took the legal oaths before members of the Supreme Judicial Council, marking issuance of the royal decree appointing them to the Civil Court. Cassation Court President and Deputy Chairman of the Supreme Judicial Council, Chancellor Abdullah bin Hassan Al Buyainain, congratulated the new judges and wished them success in performing their duties. 50% remote working rule urged to control COVID surge. MPs would like the government and private sector companies to enforce a 50% remote working policy to help lower a spike in COVID-19 cases. They unanimously approved an urgent proposal during their weekly session yesterday. Skills Bahrain, a comprehensive national initiative to monitor current and future labor market needs, says Tamkeen CEO. The Labour Fund Tamkeen announced that work is underway to launch the Skills Bahrain initiative based on the direction of the Supreme Council for the Development of Education and Training, chaired by His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Mubarak Al Khalifa, Deputy Prime Minister, who discussed the project's progress to date during the last meeting. The initiative is currently being implemented by the Tamkeen in collaboration with several relevant government and private sector entities involved in education, training, and professional labor market requirements. Skills Bahrain is the first comprehensive national initiative aimed at establishing professional standards for vocations and professions in Bahrain. and meets the rising demand for qualified nationals across a range of different sectors. Gulf Air chairman presents the airline staff their Prince Salman bin Hamad Medal for Medical Merit. Chairman to the Board of Directors of Gulf Air, Syed R. Al-Zayani, presented Prince Salman bin Hamad Medal for Medical Merit to the national cadres of the Gulf Air's employees in implementation of the Royal Order and in context of the directives of His Royal Highness the Crown Prince and the Prime Minister to all concerned authorities to hand the medal to frontline workers. Al-Zayani affirmed that His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, Crown Prince and Prime Minister, appreciate the national efforts of all frontline workers in their response to the COVID-19 pandemic, including healthcare professionals, BDF, the Ministry of Interior, and all supporting authorities, which represents an impetus to continued working in the national carrier with the same determination that continued throughout the pandemic to achieve the desired goals, praising the airline's efforts to provide services without interruption or disruption. Bahrain elected as IBE Council Vice President. Bahrain was elected as the International Bureau of Education Council Vice President of UNESCO in Geneva. Among many other achievements made during the leadership of His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa and the support of His Royal Highness Prince Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa, Crown Prince and Prime Minister, the Kingdom has achieved this educational achievement internationally. Education Minister Dr. Majid bin Ali Al Nuaimi attended the IBE Council virtual meeting in which he discussed a number of topics on the agenda, including the proposed program of activities for 2022, the amended statute for the Member States Office work, the Office's communication strategy, and the procedure rule draft. Batches of COVID-19 antigen rapid test devices to be provided in February. The National Health Regulatory Authority is following up with agents and importers to supply the local markets with the COVID-19 antigen rapid test devices. Agents and importers affirmed that batches of COVID-19 antigen rapid test kits would be provided this month, said NHRA Chief Executive Officer Dr. Mariam Abdi Al-Jalahma. She said that local agents who are authorized to import the COVID-19 antigen rapid test devices can contact suppliers directly to provide the required quantities in local markets. Bahrain bans shrimping for 6 months. The annual 6-month mandatory ban on catching, trading and selling shrimp in the Kingdom of Bahrain came into effect today and will last until July 31st. This was announced by the Under-Secretary for Agriculture and Marine Resources at the Ministry of Works, Municipalities Affairs and Urban Planning, Engineer Ibrahim Hassan Al-Hawaj. The decision comes in accordance with the decision of Minister Engineer Essam bin Abdullah Khalaf to preserve marine wealth in a way that contributes to the development of the shrimping industry and the protection of fish stock in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Al-Hawaj said that the decision also comes in line with the Gulf decisions regarding the protection of fish stocks in the Kingdom and the Gulf countries. He noted that the Agency of Agriculture and Marine Resources will spare no effort in continuing the efforts that are in the public interest of the Kingdom to achieve full production of stocks and increase production. IGA launches 3-year cloud training program for 600 employees. The Information and E-Government Authority announced the launch of a 3-year program to provide cloud computing training to 600 employees from 75 governmental and semi-governmental entities in line with the Government of Bahrain's cloud-first policy. E-services, a boon for judicial proceedings. Electronic services have significantly fast-tracked judicial proceedings, with cases being completed in an average of around 5 months. A total of 73,517 cases were heard by the courts last year, and rulings were handed out in 63,039 of them. Warning of strong winds in Bahrain today. The Meteorological Directorate forecasts cool and partly cloudy weather at times with strong winds and rising sand in places. Temperatures maximum 21 degrees Celsius and minimum 14 degrees Celsius. Today's COVID updates. COVID updates brought to you by Al Hilal Hospital and Medical Centers. Bahrain reported a record new COVID-19 cases, highest in GCC. India to now tax crypto earnings, launch digital currency. India is going to introduce a digital rupee and a 30% tax on income from cryptocurrencies and other digital asset transfers. The introduction of a central bank digital currency is scheduled for the fiscal year 22-23. It aims to give a big boost to the digital economy. Digital currency is also set to lead to a more efficient and cheaper currency management system. Besides a 30% tax, a 1% tax deduction at source on payments related to the purchase of virtual assets has also been proposed to capture details of all crypto transactions. Now we will be back after a very short break.
All your favorite products under one roof in Bahrain at 27-year-old Megamart and Macromart. Bakery, fresh meat and fish, fruits and vegetables, sweets and snacks, ready-to-eat foods, dairy products, grocery or consumer goods. To have a wonderful shopping experience, please visit your nearest Megamart Macromart branch. Megamart and Macromart, full of goodness.
Welcome back. Saudi Arabia stresses keenness to enhance relations with all countries. The Saudi cabinet, chaired by the custodian of the two holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, today affirmed Saudi Arabia's keenness to strengthen joint relations and build bridges of communication with all countries of the world. In this regard, the cabinet welcomed the outcomes of the visit of the Prime Minister and Minister of Defense of Thailand to Saudi Arabia and his talks with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, during which they agreed to restore full diplomatic relations and take the steps that would advance bilateral cooperation in various fields. UAE introduces tax to corporate profits from next June. The Ministry of Finance has announced that the UAE will introduce a federal corporate tax on business profits that will be effective for financial years starting on or after June 1st, 2023. Businesses will become subject to UAE corporate tax from the beginning of their first financial year that starts on or after June 1st, 2023. Landslide kills at least 24 people in Ecuador's capital, 12 still missing. At least 24 people perished in a landslide in Ecuador's capital, Quito, and 12 others were missing, Mayor Santiago Guarderas said on Tuesday, as rescue teams searched homes and streets covered by mud following the worst deluge in nearly 2 decades. The country's disaster management agency said 48 people were injured. Denmark scraps most COVID-19 restrictions. Denmark on Tuesday became one of the first European Union countries to scrap most pandemic restrictions as the Scandinavian country no longer considers the COVID-19 outbreak a socially critical disease. The reason is that while the Omicron variant is surging in Denmark, it is not placing a heavy burden on the health system and the country has a high vaccination rate, officials have said. Denmark, a nation of 5.8 million, has in recent weeks seen more than 50,000 daily cases on average, while the number of people in hospitals' intensive care units has dropped, reports Associated Press. WHO says in 10 weeks, Omicron surge causes COVID cases to soar. The World Health Organization chief said Tuesday that 90 million cases of coronavirus have been reported since the Omicron variant was first identified 10 weeks ago, amounting to more than in all of 2020, the first year of the COVID-19 pandemic, with many countries easing their restrictive measures amid public fatigue about them. WHO Director General cautioned that Omicron should not be underestimated, even though it has shown to bring less severe illness than earlier variants. It cited a very worrying increase in deaths in most regions of the world. US urges Pfizer to apply for under 5 COVID shots. US regulators are urging drug maker Pfizer to apply for emergency authorization of a 2-dose regimen of its COVID-19 vaccine for children 6 months to 5 years old, while awaiting data on a 3-dose course, aiming to clear the way for the shots as soon as late February. The company's application is expected to be submitted as soon as Tuesday. Early Pfizer data has shown the vaccine, which is administered to younger kids at 1/10 the strength of the adult shot, is safe and produces an immune response. With that, we come to the end of today's news. Stay tuned for daily news updates in BMC News Live English at 7:30 p.m. every day. I am Vinod Narayan signing off from BMC News Live. Good night.